Capricorn, my name's Nico and welcome to Heuristique. I'm one of the readers on the channel and this is going to be, I hate calling it monthlies because I'm going to be posting them once a month, but that's not necessarily like the time frame. I don't really like to put a time frame on my readings. I just think it takes away from the reading, I don't know. Anyway, Capricorn, let's just get started and let's just see what's meant for you. It's general, so it might not resonate. Let's hope it does. And yeah, I'm talking fast. Nightingale. We've had so many of the same cards come out. It's been interesting. This one came out for Scorpio, I believe, so you might be done with Scorpio. But Nightingale, you're ready to speak up. You're ready to I was just telling my friend that when I think of dragon energy, I think of the three eldest signs. And I think a part of that is knowing when to speak and knowing when not to speak. And what I'm hearing is you're ready to speak up. And it's a Capricorn thing. You guys can be really quiet. But when you do speak, it is like, you know what I mean? You guys are a little quiet, a little reserved at first, but when a Capricorn decides they're gonna speak, like, they speak. Beaver card, and I do think this is around your energy. So this is something that's been a long time coming. It seems like a lot of the readings this week have been like that, but something that you want to say has been festering for some time, and you've been working hard at it, you know what I mean? The Beaver card talks about putting in the work. A lot of 2 years in particular is the number that normally comes up with the Beaver card. You've been putting the work into it, you've been diligent about it, and it's time really for you to start speaking up, for you to speak your truth, for you to express yourself. You know, expression, that's kind of what's coming through right now. You're ready to express yourself. And it's interesting because whatever situation or person, thing you're dealing with is showing up as hummingbird and phoenix. So if you're over here, Nightingale, Beaver, you know, you've been working on this. This could be like a thesis. It could be an essay. I'm kind of getting speech, like, it is something you've been working diligently at. And it's almost like now you have the full picture. You have, everything you want to say, everything you know, everything you didn't know. It's complete now, you know? You're ready to speak. And the person you're dealing with, hummingbird and phoenix. So I think the person you're dealing with knows lows and knows highs. This person is coming across as a little bit of an extremist, I have to be honest, which isn't always, I mean, it's not a great thing, but I feel like when we're on the extreme of happiness, we never really feel like it's a bad thing. So Phoenix and Hummingbird, they have, what's coming through is just they've been to the lowest of lows, which as a Capricorn, you probably really admire, because Capricorns and Cancers are the two signs that I just feel go through the shits the most. Like, some really unfortunate things happen to Capricorn and Cancer suns. I don't know what the deal is with that, if there's like an astrological reason. But I always find like Cancerians and Capricorns just have some of the toughest lessons to learn, and I don't know why that is. But this person has been to hell and back, They know what it's like to have the fall from grace. They know what it's like to really be in the dumps, getting depression, oppression, like, just, like they've been through it. They know what a tough time looks like. I'm literally hearing for this person, like they might have been homeless at one point. They might have not had any money in the bank, like not even enough food to feed themselves. Like, this person knows a hard time. And with Hummingbird, it's like they found where to get their joy from. They found where, what nectar suits them. They know themselves very, 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 I could say very a million times well. They're so in tune with what's good for them and what's bad for them that it's almost like there's this barrier around them that can never really be permeated, just because it's so well regulated by them. You know, they're a master at keeping their auric field clean, if you will. And it's interesting because you want to talk to them about something and you've been working on it for a couple years, you know? You're like, oh, I've been meaning to talk to you about this, but like, I don't really know, like, or well, you know now, but what I'm sensing is for the longest time, you weren't really sure how to approach it, how to say it, but now you're saying it. You're speaking your truth and you're like, this needs to be done, this needs to be spoken, this needs to be discussed. Mouse. So I think you're a little shy, you know. Also, as I said before, this is something you've been preparing for a while. So this energy can be really beneficial, right? Because it'll notice all the details, right? Like mouse energy, like it will notice all the details. It can, another underestimated thing about the mouse is because they're so small, they can kind of get their ways into tight corners and they're able to get their ways out. So don't be too picky on the details, you know? Don't try to come up with the response that like they can't find a way out, or like don't cater your truth to their needs. Does that make sense? You don't need to be afraid with what you're gonna say as long as it's your true truth. Anything that is your truth shouldn't, you know, come at someone else's you know, you shouldn't have to quiet your truth for someone else's ego. And I can't believe the peacock card is at the bottom as I say that. Like, this is one of my ego cards. So I think this person, the hummingbird, if Phoenix didn't come out with hummingbird, I'd be a little worried, but because it came out with hummingbird, it's like this person is very receptive. They're not you know, they're high vibe. They just tend to cancel out any of the noise that isn't to their benefit, you know? And I think that whatever you're about to tell them, they're gonna be so receptive to it. I was gonna say, like, they might need to think about it for a bit and digest it, but dear, like, talk about like the most receptive energy. This is just mothering, nurturing, kind, like grounded as well, and alert, you know, green. Like, this person really does care from the bottom of their heart. Like, their heart is open. Most importantly, it's open to you, you know? They're open to hearing what you have to say. They're open to hearing what you've been working on, what you've been trying to, you know, like work through. They're open, they want to hear it. So let's get the general energy for this reading. Shark and octopus. So they've been sensing it for a while, you know? They've kind of known that you were going to come in and tell them something, or there was something you were hiding from them, a truth. With the octopus card, I always just get like, they're so good at being like sensory, you know? And I think this person can sense, you know, when you're kind of off the fence and not. And they have been sensing that there's been something that needs to come up. They've definitely sensed that you've been hiding stuff from them. You know, you haven't been telling them their full truth. You haven't fully spoke up on something that you've wanted to speak up on for a while, you know? And they can sense it coming. So also, with those two being water cards, I do think it has to do with the realm of the emotions. I do think it is, you know, I'm hearing boundaries, actually. So I think you might be setting some boundaries with this person. Once again, you've really gone over it. You've really been like, I am hearing like, do I have the right to be mad about this? Like, do I have the right to go off on this? Like, trying to see where you stand with it first, which is really smart, actually, before opening up to them to get where they stand, figuring out where you stand. That is like, oh my God. This is driving me crazy. Sorry. Anyway, so just did the exact same thing. So you're figuring out where you stand before you go in to find out where they stand. So I think this is definitely the right decision, and it always, that kind of always is the best decision. Know thyself, right? But I think the reason this is coming off a little tense, if you will, is because it's uncomfortable to set a boundary with someone, you know? And I think when you explain it like that, when you need to really sit down and explain it with this person, you know what I mean? Because they're vibrating so high that like, and it makes sense why you've taken so long, because if you don't communicate it properly, they're just gonna dismiss it because it's not worth their time, if I'm being honest. Like, they really won't get into something unless you give them a valid reason to. So what I'm seeing here is you kind of laying down the law. You kind of being like, you know, one of my boundaries is this, and you kind of crossed it when you did this. And if they're like, why is that your boundary? Well, and you can explain that, you know, vulnerability, being open. And they're open to you. That's the thing. Their heart is open. They know, like, they know what did I say at the very beginning? They know what it's like to be at a low, to be worst of the worst of the worst. Like, they know they know, okay? They already know how shit it can be to be human sometimes, right? So I think they understand boundaries. Like, they've probably had their boundaries trampled several times. And if you say that to them, you know, you're crossing one of my boundaries, it might actually, like, I know it sounds weird, but they're already quite high vibe, but it's just gonna take them there. Excuse me. It's gonna take them to the next level. Because then, you know, I think we have our own boundaries, but how often do we really, well, I can't say that for you guys or whoever's watching, because you're the kind of person who's always focused on someone else's boundaries instead of your own. But most people are the other way around, you know, or that's what I'm kind of hearing. Like, you've been dealing with people who have been the other way around, worried about their own boundaries and not so worried about your boundaries. And that's what's changing, because you're taking control of your boundaries, you know, you're finally holding them in your hands. And, you know, it's like literally like a card, like pretend these are all your boundaries. You're just holding them in your hand and giving them to your person and being like, these are my boundaries. You can either respect them or you know, the first card that came out for you is Nightingale. And Capricorn, I'm sure you have no problem spreading your wings and finding someone else who will respect your boundaries. So boundaries, huge. That's a huge thing for you. Especially just the liberation that's gonna come with that, you know, really being able to say to yourself, like, I've done it. Like, I've been able to assert my boundaries, but not in a, you know, overly dramatic or overly mean or vengeful way. You're learning how to express your boundaries in a way that is receptive to others, which is really important and a really, really good a really good trait to have. Being able to assert yourself without being aggressive is very difficult, but once you master that, whoa. Almost hearing like you have to tap into your Cancerian side, you know, because Cancer is your opposite. So kind of coming at it in a more nurturing way, coming at it in a more, I guess, feminine, if you will, way. Like, you're not, at the end of the day, it's not a win or lose situation when you're asserting your boundaries. It's just, here are the boundaries, here are my terms and conditions. Can you comply with them or not, you know? No one's winning or losing here. Like, I don't even want that mentality in this reading. It's just, because in order for compromise to occur, there is no winner and loser. And that's what's happening. It's a compromise. It does feel like that. It feels like you need to open up to this person and explain why what they're doing or what they've done has hurt you or crossed a boundary. And they will be receptive to it, you know? And even if they're not, which if they're not, I don't think this reading's for you, but if this reading is for you and they are receptive, like I think they will be, I'm just feeling a bunch of weight is gonna be lifted off your shoulder, because finally you won't have to over-explain yourself. You won't have to, you know, be put in this mental vice of like, I'm uncomfortable, but like my person isn't, or whatever, you know? You're finally able to find some equilibrium with that, with, you know, not only holding your own boundaries true, but having other people hold your boundaries true. Which is just, can we ask for anything else better? I don't think so. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope there was something in this reading for you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna finish it there. So I'll see you guys in, I guess, the next dailies and the next monthly. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see ya. Bye.